When the clocks freeze at midnight and the thin places of the world stretch and tear, there are places hidden, forgotten, that awaken, places that should have never been built. Marrowgate General is one of them. You never notice how hospitals breathe until you're alone in one after dark. It's the air conditioning, maybe, or the way the pipes twitch behind the walls. But that night, as I stood shivering under the flickering ceiling lights of Marrowgate General, I swore it wasn't the building that was breathing. It was something else. Something inside. The job had sounded simple. Retrieve old patient records from the basement archives for legal review. No one told me about the 9th floor. Marrowgate's layout was straightforward. 8 floors, 2 basements. I'd been there a dozen times before. But that night, when I called the elevator, it opened to reveal a rusted, broken 9 button. It wasn't there before. I should have ignored it. I should have. But when you hear something dragging itself across tiles, something heavy and wet, and you feel the hair on your arms stiffen without a breeze, curiosity becomes a survival instinct. So I pressed the button. The elevator groaned and lurched upwards, higher than I'd ever gone in the building, past where the walls should have ended, past logic. When the doors finally jerked open, darkness poured in like a living thing. At first, it was the smell that made me gag, metallic and rotten, like old meat thawing in a broken freezer. The corridor beyond was a stitched-up nightmare with tile floors that buckled underfoot and walls that wept dark, syrupy stains. Hospital stretchers lined the hall, but their frames were twisted as if massive hands had wrung them like wet towels. And the lights, good God, the lights. Fluorescent panels flickered epileptically, only half illuminating the way forward. Shapes twitched in the strobing gloom, vanishing when you tried to focus. I should have left then, but at the far end of the hallway, under a cracked elevator sign smeared with brown fingerprints, something moved. The noise it made was wrong. Not footsteps, not breathing. It was the damp scrape of something dragging itself forward, but faster than it should have been able to move. I stumbled backward into the elevator, slamming the G button so hard my knuckles bled. The doors tried to close, they really did, but a hand, no, a claw, speared between them, wrenching them open with shrieking metal. Standing there, panting, hunched, was it. It was human. Once, stripped to raw muscle and parchment-thin skin, its body was a map of suffering. Veins pulsed visibly under torn flesh, and its mouth hung open in a silent, furious scream, rows of shattered yellow teeth glistening. Its eyes, if you could call them that, were nothing but deep pits leaking a steady trickle of thick black fluid. I don't remember screaming. I don't even remember running. But somehow I was sprinting down that corridor, away from the elevator, away from the thing, my boots sliding on the slime-slick tiles. Every door I tried was welded shut, burned shut, as if whatever lived here wasn't meant to leave. Corridor after corridor spiraled out, each more ruined than the last. Broken wheelchairs rusted in heaps, plastic sheets hung like wet skin from the ceilings, and the smell only grew stronger, thicker, clinging to my lungs. I thought I'd lost it. Until I heard it again, a wet slap against the floor, growing louder, faster. It was hunting me. I rounded a corner and slammed straight into a door swinging ajar. The sign above it was faded but readable. Maternity ward. Inside, tiny, rotted cribs lined the walls, most toppled over or smashed. In the center of the room sat a broken rocking chair, swaying gently without sound. It was almost peaceful. Almost. Until I saw what was written across the far wall, scratched deep into the paint. Birthed in darkness, never born, never dies. The thing shrieked, a sound like rusty nails scraping a chalkboard, and I bolted again. As I fled, the walls around me changed. Faces, dozens of them, emerged from the peeling wallpaper. Some human, some twisted beyond recognition. Their mouths moved silently, mouthing pleas, warnings, curses. And every step I took, they seemed to watch, to follow. I couldn't tell if the creature was chasing me anymore, or if it was guiding me. I plunged into another room, desperate to escape its gaze. The door read, Children's Psychiatric Unit. Broken toys littered the floor, jack-in-the-boxes whose heads twisted and jerked with no music, dolls with mouths sewn shut. Crayon drawings covered the walls, each more grotesque than the last. Twisted families, black suns, stick figures weeping blood. In the center of the room was a single hospital bed. The sheets stirred just once, as though something unseen was breathing underneath them. A voice, thin and childish, whispered in my ear, "Stay with us." I ran. Down a flight of stairs barely intact, I found the morgue. Rows of rusted drawers lined the walls. Many were ajar, some were empty, some were not. Through the cracked glass of the autopsy room, I could see shapes huddled together, backs bent unnaturally, whispering in a language that clawed at the base of my skull. One of them turned. It didn't have a face, just endless, screaming mouths stacked on top of each other. I fled back into the darkness. Finally, I stumbled through a shattered door labeled Operating Theater. The room reeked of disinfectant and rot. Broken surgical lights hung overhead, swaying. Rusted tools lay scattered on cracked tiles. In the center of the room was a single operating table, straps hanging loose, leather worn smooth by endless struggling. The creature was already there, crouched beside the table, waiting. In the stuttering light I recognized the thing's face. It was mine, a distorted, melted version of my face, twisted by pain and rage and endless hunger. Its lips pulled back in a broken sneer as it beckoned me forward, and somehow, deep inside, I knew what it wanted. It wanted me to take its place. I turned to flee, but the doors slammed shut, the lights went dead, and in the thick, wet dark I felt hands, cold, many-fingered, closing around my wrists, my ankles. The straps tightened themselves around me. I screamed. No one heard, and above me the thing leaned in close, breathing hot decay across my face, its voice a jagged whisper, "You're next." They found me 3 days later, unconscious in the basement archives. At least, that's what they think they found. Every night since, when the lights flicker just so, I catch glimpses in the mirror. My skin shifting wrong, my mouth hanging open wider than it should. And sometimes, just sometimes, when the world goes quiet enough to hear the pipes twitch behind the walls. I remember the 9th floor, and I remember that I'm still there, waiting. And somewhere far above the waking world, a broken elevator dings, its doors yawning open once more.
I am coming for you.